Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. Well folks, it's time once again to look back at some fairy tale related movies, and this episode may require a bit of backstory. You see, during October 2020, I looked at Shrek's underrated 3D midquel, which debuted as an attraction at Universal Studios. And to this very day, I think it's a fun little 3D flick with several silly and nostalgic gags. Also, while it's sadly no longer playing at Universal Studios anymore, the only way you can watch it nowadays is either on DVD, YouTube, or Netflix. Anyway, just a few months ago, while I was blogging Once Upon a Mattress, I did mention that my friends at Musical Theater Village will be performing Shrek The Musical from late May to mid-June this year. And in honor of this special occasion, I'll be blogging the 4 movies that made Shrek such a beloved and a cool ogre. Let's start with the first movie, released on May 18th, 2001, Shrek. And now, on for the plot of the movie. In a faraway swamp lives an ogre named Shrek, whose precious solitude is suddenly shattered by an invasion of fairy tale creatures whom were all banished and evicted by the evil Lord Farquaad. Determined to get his home back, Shrek and a donkey named Donkey cuts a deal with Farquaad and sets out on a daring quest to rescue the beautiful and fair Princess Fiona from the Dragon's Keep, so that she could become Farquaad's bride. But little does Shrek know that rescuing the princess may be pretty small compared to her deep, dark secret. Now, what are my thoughts on the movie anyway? Well, yes, this is one of the most famous animated movies of the 2000s, but unfortunately, it has aged pretty badly over the years, and there are some pretty crude humor despite that it is PG, but overall, I still love this movie. And to further explain why I love it, let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, firstly, Shrek originally began as a children's book by William Steig back in October 17, 1990. After purchasing the rights to Steig's book in 1991, Steven Spielberg planned to produce a traditionally animated film based on the book. But John H. Williams convinced him to bring the project to the newly founded DreamWorks in 1994. Jeffrey Katzenberg began active development on the movie in 1995, immediately following the studio's purchase of the rights from Spielberg. The film was initially intended to be created using motion capture, but after poor test results, the studio hired Pacific Data Images to complete the final computer animation. After Shrek's theatrical release, the film grossed approximately $484 million worldwide against a production budget of $60 million, becoming the 4th highest grossing film of 2001. Plus, Shrek was the first animated movie to win the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, and it won the Best Adapted Screenplay Award from the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, or BAFTA for short. Also, in 2020, Shrek was deemed culturally, historically, or authentically significant by the United States Library of Congress, and it was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. Now, what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, I think Shrek's CGI animation is a huge improvement over DreamWorks' first CGI film, Ants, which to me was a pretty forgettable movie. Also, I think the scenery, visuals, and environments look very impressive, from Shrek's swamp home, which looks very mucky, but very fitting to the cool ogre, the Dragon's Keep, which looks dilapidating, foreboding, and spooky, as well as hot, due to the lava surrounding the place. Plus, the Kingdom of Duloc looks very creative due to it being designed like an amusement park. Plus, I like the use of the fairy tale characters, even though they don't really have a huge role in this movie. Also, I should note that while this film is a fairy tale comedy, some of the jokes in this are a little mature for anyone under the age of 10, I think. Plus, I think the film's soundtrack is pretty good for the time, and some of my favorites being the opening song All Star by Smash Mouth, Bad Reputation by Joan Jett, which is used during the tournament where Shrek battles Farquaad's soldiers, the sad montage song Hallelujah, performed by John Cale, the film's main song It Is You I Have Loved, performed by Dana Glover, which is also DreamWorks Animation's anthem, and of course the finale song I'm a Believer, also performed by Smash Mouth, which gets an awesome reprise sung by Donkey. To me, this song is such an awesome way to end such a comedic fairy tale masterpiece, and I'm very happy that it's included in the Broadway musical version. I should also mention the Welcome to Duloc song, which is sung by a chorus of wooden dolls at an information booth. To me, that song is just creepy and annoying. And it makes the Sherman Brothers' It's a Small World song seem a lot more tamer and friendlier. And I can't believe that one of the verses almost gets away with a butt joke. Still, I think the Halloween version and the Broadway version, which precedes What's Up Duloc, are a lot better. And now let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. The title character Shrek is voiced by Mike Myers, best known from Wayne's World, Austin Powers, Dr. Seuss's The Cat in the Hat, and Bohemian Rhapsody. Shrek starts out as an unsociable hermit due to him being afraid of being judged by appearances. But after Shrek's swamp home got overrun by fairy tale creatures, he and his new friend Donkey go on a quest to get his home back. In my eyes, while Shrek prides himself on being a big, green, terrifying ogre, he can also be very grumpy, stubborn, and hot-tempered. But at the same time, he's also tough, caring, brave, and cool. Plus, he makes a pretty creative cook. However, that one scene where Shrek was teasing Donkey by shaking the bridge to the Dragon's Keep was a very dangerous joke. My friends, don't ever try that, even if you're on a bridge over a lake of boiling lava. Shrek's friend Donkey is voiced by Eddie Murphy, best known from Dr. Dolittle, The Nutty Professor, Norbit, Disney's Mulan, Dreamgirls, and The Haunted Mansion, which will be getting a remake next year. Before he met Shrek, Donkey was being sold to Farquaad's guards along with the other fairy tale creatures until he managed to escape with a little help from Tinkerbell's pixie dust. Now, ever since I was 10 years old, I loved Donkey as a character. Despite him being an annoying chatterbox, he always brings a smile to my face, and I like that Donkey is the first person who treats Shrek like an actual person, not as a monster. Plus, my favorite part is when Donkey talks sense into Shrek, explaining that Fiona's words from the previous night were not about Shrek, but about somebody else. Next we come to the beautiful Princess Fiona, voiced by Cameron Diaz, whom I remember from The Mask, Charlie's Angels, The Holiday, and the atrocious 2014 Annie film. Now, ever since she was 7 years old, Fiona has been held captive in the Dragon's Keep until that fateful day when Shrek and Donkey rescue her, much to her surprise. When Shrek first meets her, she behaves like an archetypical fairy tale princess, speaking formally in matters of courtship, and she has particular expectations of how she is to be rescued, who is to rescue her, and so on and so forth. But later, after overhearing Shrek and Donkey's conversation on how he's been judged, Fiona's true self emerges, where she's revealed to be a down-to-earth and independent woman who is a match for Shrek when it comes to the bad habits that he has. And her singing voice is just so powerful that she makes birds explode. Plus, I find it funny that Fiona likes to burp, which, believe it or not, was an improvised moment due to Cameron Diaz drinking a soda in the recording booth. And I really think Fiona is awesome when it comes to Matrix-styled martial arts. Also, ever since I saw this movie in theaters, I thought the part where Fiona reveals to Donkey, and later Shrek, that she becomes an ogress every night after sunset was very twisted and surprising to me. Next we come to the villain of the movie and my leader, Lord Farquaad, voiced by John Lithgow, best known from the 1984 Footloose film, Santa Claus the Movie, Rugrats in Paris, Pitch Perfect 3, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and the 2019 Pet Sematary film. Farquaad is the narcissist, ruthless, and diminutive ruler of the kingdom of Duloc. In his pursuit of perfection, Farquaad attempts to rid his domain of the fairy tale creatures, offering a bounty for their capture and then exiling them to Shrek's swamp. And he plans to marry a princess in order to become king. In my eyes, Farquaad is a real tyrannical dictator who's completely obsessed with perfection, and he considers the fairy tale creatures to be a real blight upon his perfect world. Plus, due to his kingdom being in the style of a theme park, I think Farquaad is an unflattering parody of the then Disney CEO, Michael Eisner. But aside from all of that, I kind of like that Farquaad is a man of his word when he agrees to remove the fairy tale creatures from Shrek's swamp if he rescues Fiona and delivers her safely. Also to note, during the stage musical version, it's revealed that Farquaad is the son of a princess and a dwarf, which is pretty surprising. As for the other characters, we have Genji the Gingerbread Man, voiced by Conrad Vernon, who voiced Lurch in the two Addams Family movies, both of which Conrad Vernon directed, along with films like Madagascar 3, Monsters vs. Aliens, and Sausage Party. Anyway, like the other fairy tale creatures, Genji doesn't really have a big role in this movie, but unlike the others whom have been banished to Shrek's swamp, Genji is seen being tortured and interrogated by Farquaad. And to be quite honest, guys, I feel bad for the poor little guy when he got dunked into milk, had his legs cut off, and thrown into a trash can. But later, I thought it was really cute when Genji does a Tiny Tim reference during the film's finale, where he is seen with a candy cane crutch and one leg. Next we have the Magic Mirror, voiced by Chris Miller, who'd later voice Kowalski the Penguin in the Madagascar franchise. In the film, Farquaad uses the magic mirror in a similar way that Snow White's evil stepmother did, asking if Duloc is not the most perfect kingdom of them all. Unfortunately, the mirror explains that Farquaad is not technically a king, and the only way he can become one is if he marries a princess. The mirror then presents Farquaad in the style of the dating game with 3 princess contestants: Cinderella, Snow White, and Princess Fiona. However, after Farquaad chooses Fiona, the mirror attempts to warn him about Fiona's curse, but to no avail. To me, the Magic Mirror is another memorable character in the Shrek franchise, mainly due to him having the personality of a TV show announcer or host. Sadly, I must let all my loyal viewers know that while the Magic Mirror is in the Broadway show, he's unfortunately not featured in Musical Theater Village's production, and his role has been passed to Genji instead. Another character to talk about is Monsieur Robin Hood, voiced by Vincent Cassel. This character is a French version of the English folk hero, who appears while Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona are journeying through the woods on their way to Duloc. Believing that Fiona was being held captive by Shrek, Robin Hood and his merry men randomly burst upon them and introduce themselves with an annoying accordion-backed song and dance number describing how he intends to save Fiona and slay Shrek. In my opinion, Robin Hood is portrayed as more of a confused nuisance than a threatening villain. And like I said earlier, the part where Fiona takes them down with her martial arts skills was really amazing, as Shrek described. Also, the part where Shrek got shot in the butt by one of the Merry Men's arrows nowadays makes me think of the time back in summer 2009 where a cactus spine got stuck in my butt while I was raking in a friend's backyard. Also, I should note that Robin Hood is not featured in the stage musical of Shrek at all, due to him being replaced by the Pied Piper and his rats. Finally, we have Dragon, whom has no voice actress. As I said 2 years ago, Dragon starts out as an antagonist, guarding her tower and preventing anyone from trying to rescue Fiona, until she became smitten with Donkey after he complimented her teeth and her oral hygiene. Later in the movie, after Shrek delivers Fiona to Farquaad and he and Donkey part ways, Donkey discovers a heartbroken dragon crying by a brook in the forest, and the two reconcile, which to me was a very touching moment. Plus, I like the part where Dragon gives Shrek and Donkey a ride to Duloc, and the part where she kills off Farquaad by eating him, hence why he later becomes a ghost in Shrek 4D. Also, I think Donkey and Dragon make a very cute couple together. The rest of the cast include Cody Cameron as Pinocchio and the Three Little Pigs, and Aaron Werner as the Big Bad Wolf. I should also mention the characters who I play on stage, like the Captain of the Guards, voiced by Jim Cummings, Thelonious, voiced by Christopher Knight, and the Bishop, voiced by Val Benton, who sadly passed away last year. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, Shrek, despite being badly aged, is still a legendary DreamWorks animated fairy tale film. The CGI is pretty good for early 2000s standards. The jokes, while a little mature, are hilarious. The pop culture references are pretty clever. The characters are fun, memorable, and they always bring a smile to my face. The comical voice acting is fantastic, and the soundtrack is pretty decent for the time. And watching this movie again really makes me excited to be performing Shrek with my Musical Theater Village friends. And I hope all the spectators who come to see it will love the show as much as they love this movie. As for my rating, I'll give it a 91% out of 100. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me next time as we look at Shrek's superior sequel. To be continued.